Hey there, folks. It is today on the recovery crew is the great return of Jon Ray. So those of you that listened to last week's podcast got a really good dose of what transformation looks like, from destroyer to creator. We could call it that. I don't. So I think there is something about that. Those of us that have a history of pretty good destruction probably also have the capacity, the potential to bring incredible healing to the world. I think there's somebody send me the memo or the research on that, but I think intuitively that's true. And Jon Ray is a great example of that. And so he's our guest again this week. And Camille Reid is our co-host, and we're going to have a great lively discussion today about bringing our gift forward. Now that we're not self-medicating, or at least as much, we're getting some support around that. Maybe we have opened a channel to bring our gifts, maybe not just swimming around in our wounds. Maybe down in those wounds are some gold that we can bring to the world and have a satisfying expression of ourselves, but also one that resonates and vibrates with the world in a good way.
Yeah.
That's the conversation we're going to have today. There's nobody better at talking about that kind of shit than Jon Ray. So welcome, both of you.
Yeah. A topic dear to my heart. And what comes to me as you talk about bringing your gift to the world is how scary that is. And I really think that, for me, a big part of my transformation was developing the courage to do something that was scary. And what a great skill set to have if you're starting a business or becoming an artist or wanting to create anything. Yep. It requires somewhat of a leap of faith into some uncertainty. And for me, I was a coward all my life. Even though I was pretending to be this big tough guy, I was scared. I was a liar.
We're cowards yelling, I ain't afraid of nothing.
Exactly.
Riding a horse saying, I ain't afraid of nothing. Terrified, riding the fear horse, right?
Yes.
And hey, so for me, before we get launched completely into this, I'd like Camille to just let folks know what's happening at Deep Waters. And then I want to do a little intro of you, Jon Ray, and then we'll launch on this discussion. Go ahead, Camille.
Deep Waters. We are an advanced recovery and healing experience for men and women, anybody. We've got the DWI, which is the Deep Waters Intensive. That's going to be a 3-day transformational trauma resolution experience that integrates psychodrama, bioenergetics, and rituals of empowerment. We also have our upcoming experiential facilitators training, or the EFT, which is an opportunity for anyone who works with others to do their own inner work and learn action tools to use in groups. You can also get on a certification track for that, which includes 4 modules to become a certified experiential facilitator. You can find all the info on the next events that we have at deepwatersrecovery.com, or you can send us an email at admin, ADMIN, at deepwatersrecovery.com. We've also got outpatient program where individuals can work with Dr. Bear and his colleagues, and individual, group, couples, and family sessions. The podcast here comes out on Fridays, and then the weekly blog comes out on Mondays at the Recovery Crew at Deep Waters Recovery.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. And just to let folks know who Jon Ray is, he's a consultant for high-level executives, digital marketing, copywriting. His outfit is called Awakening Entrepreneurs. I think Awaken Entrepreneur. Awaken. It's actually awaken-entrepreneur.com if you want to go and see all of his magic. And also, I could read all of the stuff working for Google, working for many real estate teams. But I like this one. He wrote this. My only credentials are that I am self-pronounced an incredible seeker. I know how to look inside all the nooks and crannies that many are afraid to explore or unwilling to see, to extract value when it's there and shuck the rest. He knows how to use words like shuck because he's if you really know Jon Ray, you know he's not very appropriate, but he knows how to write appropriately and to make people think that he's appropriate.
That's right. It's all a facade.
So we are going to launch on a interesting discussion here that kind of hits that place between Jon Ray's mission of service to the world and Bob Baer and Camille Reid's mission of service to the world, which has to do with bringing transforming trauma and helping people find that bliss in their life, right? And Jon Ray does that in many different ways, but he's got a really focused way of helping people bring that into a business world. And he even likes to say shit, hey, let's make a bunch of money here. What? Okay, maybe I should start saying that more. I like the phrase. So let's there's this idea related to, if I could have success. I think all three of us have had some success in the world while we were even using, right? But we didn't enjoy it. It wasn't coming from our deep truth, and we weren't bringing necessarily something to the world that was vibrating and empowering the world to be in their leadership, right? Which is so satisfying to watch other people awaken, right? Yeah. So we're all kind of up to that, and let's have that conversation here. How to bring, Joseph Campbell said it best: follow your bliss, and doors will open that you didn't even know were there. Mm-hmm. How about that for a little intro? Go ahead, Jon.
Yeah, well, that's also a dangerous phrase because it can be misinterpreted as don't do anything uncomfortable. Only do the thing that feels easy. And I think when I was pretending to be a philosopher in my early 20s, I read Joseph Campbell and I said, I'm never going to do anything uncomfortable. I'm only going to do the thing that feels good. So I'm going to put stuff in my nose, and I'm going to drink, and I'm going to only work with rock stars, and I'm going to only work with people who think that I'm brilliant, and I'm only going to work with people who have accepted the lifestyle that I've chosen. And in that was a kind of cowardice and a kind of avoidance of some of the heavy lifting that is required to truly be successful. Because for me, the way that it manifested was there was some easy success in my early business life. I really did kind of luck into success and opportunities, and also, some of my natural talents were poking through, and I just kind of got in the right place at the right time. However, there was this counterforce to all of that was self-sabotage, and so while I was kind of naturally gravitating upwards, a counterforce was pushing me down, saying, you don't deserve this. This isn't for you. You're going to screw it all up. And that counterforce became harder and harder to grapple with. And one of the things that ultimately happened was that, the whole house of cards came down for me. And I recognized that it was not sustainable to try to be successful with that self-sabotage counterforce working against that success.
Yep. There's it's the image I have of Icarus, right? With the wax wings flying up close to the sun and then crashing into the ocean. And then I have many Icarus stories of then I get my wings back and fly up there again. How many times are we going to do that, right? So hopefully, these last few, every time I've done it though, it's been like we said in last week's podcast, it's like yet another opportunity to grow, right? How many times have I crashed into the ocean and didn't go into the ocean of me? And that's where the gift is, right? So you're confronting me a little bit right now, because the title of my new book that I'm working on, which is Stop Doing Shit You Don't Want to Do. There is a caveat. Well, the subtitle of this is How Trauma Runs Our Life, right? It's running the show. And as we resolve our trauma, our vision appears. And the idea is, sometimes we have to do things that feel a little strenuous, right? But the question is it on the way to my vision? or on to this life to this gift that seems to be emerging? Am I moving toward that? And there's some things that maybe just feel a little challenging for me on the way there. But there's another side to that, which is if I'm grinding away at shit and it does not feel right to me, I am on somebody else's path, probably. I am building someone else's vision. And so this is a good conversation to have. Yep, sometimes things are going to be a little uncomfortable. I've got to feel the fear. It's really good to ask myself the question, am I on the path toward the vision that's satisfying for me? Or am I in misery because I'm building someone else's vision, probably? Is that anything come up for you guys around that?
Well, I think it definitely tracks for me. And I think as somebody who is building my own vision now, but part of my vision is to build other people's visions. I think that there's a place, depending on where you're at on your path, sometimes working towards somebody else's vision is a good way to sharpen the knives and blades in your toolkit. And maybe you're not ready to launch your vision. And so a lot of it is being honest about where you're at. I work with a lot of people who think that they're going to be, the leading expert in their field when they just graduated college and have no real world experience. And so there's a certain level of stoicism that I think is maybe an interesting path to explore if you want to think about building something. And the stoic stance in any entrepreneurial effort is kind of, okay, what's the best case scenario that I'm aiming for? And what's the worst case scenario that is possible? And let me make sure that I'm mapping that whole spectrum and understanding what could happen and maybe the way that I should show up. And, early on in any vision, there is some level of getting up to speed with it, right? I like to use the analogy of going to the gym. You can't, you can't go from a lifestyle of eating a large pizza and a liter of Dr. Pepper every single night, and then you walk into the gym 200 pounds overweight, and all of a sudden you're running 6 miles on the treadmill and lifting all the weights, and you're immediately a bodybuilder. Like, there's a buildup to that. You have to shift some of the patterns, and the same is true, I think, when you're building anything, whether it's muscle or a creative vision or a piece of art or a business. And so there's a level of truth telling. That's kind of what the Stoic stance is let's tell the truth about what's really present here for me. And people have a gradation of fear and cowardice and concern about any endeavor that they embark on. And so one of the things that I really try to do with the entrepreneurs that I work with is say, let's get really clear about what the truth of how you really feel about this is. Because once we know the truth of it, we can start to work with some of that clay and pick out which of those quote unquote truths that you're feeling right now are appropriate and need to have action directed towards them, and which are tied to some kind of background trauma that maybe would be better to explore the past event rather than what's happening right now in the present moment. Yep. And I know that's a big part of the work that you're doing.
Yeah. It sounds kind of like, you're helping these people build like a type of resilience to doing these things, like whether it's something that they want to do or something that's annoying, or even making the small things that they don't want to do into something that's leading towards a greater vision and having like a shift in perspective. And to me, it sounds like resilience for somebody that they may not have before. Is that what you're doing?
Well, resilience, I think is definitely something that is powerful to develop as an entrepreneur or a creator. And maybe that's the character trait that allows you to move through procrastination, which is what holds most people up. I think a lot of times when I'm working with people, it's just pulling them over that initial hump. And I used to run cross country in high school, and one of the things that my coach would always have us do when we were running 14 miles a day, he's like, just put your shoes on and start walking towards the track, and your body will catch up with the task that you're putting it towards.
It's a little bit like gratitude lists. I might feel miserable, resentful, and what a shitty day. And then, well, all right, I'm going to say, all right, I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for Camille is a superstar manager of this outfit. And then I got Jon Ray, who's a good friend. All right, Jesus Christ. All right. I'm feeling a little better now, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting my juice going a little bit, and
Yes.
Here's what gratitude does: it walks me towards my feelings.
Well,
resentment walks me away from my vulnerability, which is that is exactly what you're pointing at here. The thing where I'm on this side saying, don't do anything you don't want to do, right? And you're saying, there's some shit you got to do. But the main thing that we have to do that's uncomfortable is move toward that vulnerable. And here's Brene Brown's definition of vulnerability: risk-taking, uncertainty, and emotional honesty. And if we go, I'm uncertain about this stuff. I'm terrified. It's not going to feel good at first, and then I'm going to keep trying until, okay, now I've moved to another level. And it is always good to have my eyes somewhere. And this is a real important thing for anybody listening that really wants to build a life. You got to do the work to access the vision for your life, not the goals. I mean, you can go to any sales seminar and learn how to march toward a goal, right?
Right.
Whip yourself toward a goal. Most goals, I wind up whipping myself. By the time I get there, I don't want to be there. I've been whipping myself towards something that somebody else wants me to do, right? It takes a lot. There's a whole nother process about visioning where I want to be in my career, relationships, money, creativity, academic stuff. What do I want to learn? We have to dig in there intentionally. And there's a whole section of the Creative Fire program to do that. And I had to write that thing because I had spent a few years focused on it. And I'm telling you, it is magic. Visioning and holding a vision, and then helping other people hold the vision. I'm telling you, there's some magic. You mystical people, Jon Ray, probably know more about it than I do. I just know about the function, the actual doing it makes it happen. I don't know what the quantum physics is of it, but it's pretty strong and an important part of this conversation, I think.
Yeah, well, your book, The Creative Fire, which we're turning into kind of a deeper dive book study course. The reason that book resonated with me is because there is kind of a quote unquote mystical stance to decision making, and we think that we have access to an infinite number of decisions and choices, and that we could choose anything at any given moment. But really, our decision space is pretty finite, and our decision space is, in my experience, directly relational to how we're feeling and what we're consistently pointing out in our lives. And so the power of holding a vision is that our mind says, it's almost like an algorithm on Facebook. The more content that you like on Facebook, the more the algorithm says, give them more of that, give them more of that. And our brain is somewhat wired in a similar way, where the more that we give attention to gratitude, the more that we hold a bigger vision, the more that our brain starts to pick out, of the billions of data points available, it starts to pick out the breadcrumb path to where we want to go. And so in any given moment, there's always some data point that I could tune into that would take me in a completely new direction. But if I have a cognitive bias or an inability to open up to a greater decision space, then I'm going to keep choosing the same data points and the same choices and the same decisions that I always had. Yeah. And one of the reasons that recovery programs are successful, in my opinion. Things like AA, working with a coach, modeling somebody who's already been successful, is that it opens you up to a new decision space that you couldn't have gotten to on your own.
Mhm.
And as soon as you start greasing the wheels of those new decisions, all of a sudden your brain starts to say, oh, they want more data points like that. They want more information related to that. And you start to shift the awareness and perspective that you have of the world in a way that serves your goals, rather than what a lot of people do who have pessimistic thinking. Well, the world is going to constantly confirm whatever your pessimistic thinking is.
That's right. The thinking. That's the problem. That's what we say in 12-step programs. My stinking thinking got me here, and I'm trying to use this brain to get me out of it. The same brain that got me into the mess, right? That's why I think you focus. I think you say it a lot in your copy, is heart-centered, right?
Yes.
It's we're all smart. Okay, good. How does that work for you, figuring shit out in the world? It's like, it's okay. I don't want to disparage my ability to think, but if I want to build a life that is satisfying to my entire being, I probably should access more than just my consciousness, which is about 1%, right? The other 99% plus the universe is probably, like one of our recent guests, Christine Calvert, said, our inner capacity is so in our favor. Isn't that a great sentence? Our inner capacity is so in our favor. Our intellect tells us you're not good enough. You're not, you got to work harder. You got to find the right arm candy. You got to find the right car. You got to find the right amount of money. You got to find all this shit. And we're going to march toward it. We're going to make goals to march toward it. And when we get there, it's only going to be mildly satisfying if it is not connected to the heart. I'm taking a deep breath to slow down to see if I can access my heart here, because it's the things that go on there that are going to be deeply and sustainably satisfying.
Yes.
For me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the decisions that you make from that heart space tend to ripple out in a better way. They're not so selfishly focused, and they tend to skew towards a win-win-win scenario. And that, I think, is the opportunity of visionaries and entrepreneurs and artists and creators, is that, one, they can create catalyst events that help somebody connect in to those heart feelings. I mean, we've all watched a movie or heard a song or seen a play that really brought us to an emotional space, and what a beautiful gift for the artist to give us. And so there's a healing that happens in all of that is a ripple out beyond just the actual play that happened. Everybody that had that emotional experience now walks away from that, and the juices of that inner capacity are churning in a different way, which opens them up to choices that maybe weren't as clear before that. And to me, that's the interesting part of my art form is entrepreneurship and communicating purpose and passion and embedding entrepreneurial efforts in some kind of a community-driven purpose. And the interesting thing about that is that we can develop systems of business that are beneficial beyond just the inner circle of that business. They're contributing to the whole in a larger way. And a lot of that is just getting out of the mind and getting out of this kind of logical thing that, it's the bottom line. We got to, as long as this cell in the spreadsheet turns green, then it's a good business. And instead, the thinking about, if I were to be looking back on this, from my deathbed, how would I feel about starting this? One of my clients wrote a beautiful book called "You Might Die Tomorrow," and it's all about mortality awareness and how beautiful mortality awareness, the acknowledging that we're gonna die someday, and one of the best ways to get clarity on are we in our purpose is to visualize ourselves on our deathbed and look back at this decision that we're trying to make. as we're about to die and as we're reflecting back on our life, how would we have wanted to answer this?
All right, let me fold up everything I'm doing. Okay. All right, let's start over. Hey, I think that is a great little vision. Can I ask myself, is this because really what I ask, is this really that important? That's really what's really important to me, right? And it takes a little work to get to that place, and there's always feelings involved. There's always vulnerability in there. Camille is a young dynamite on fire person who's a certified peer recovery specialist and healing person. Jon Ray is helping so many different teams and people get their lives up and running. I'm helping people heal in the world and also launch into their lives. I think the three of us are pretty poised to have an idea of what it takes to get your vision up and running in the world. I think, we get to have some authority around that. So, and then tomorrow it'll change though. I'll just say that. So whatever we say here, take what you want and leave the rest. Listen to us tomorrow. We'll have a new idea. But today, I would like us all to be thinking about the 1, 2, or 3 things that we think here as we kind of close this discussion today. The 1, 2, or 3 things that we think are most important for if somebody is, all right, what do I do? Right? It's like, what do I do? Okay, good idea, Jon Ray, Camille, Bob. Thanks for sharing. What do I do to get to this place, right? And I'll start while you guys are scratching your head trying to, because I'm just surprising both of you with this. So for me, it is a 3-part thing, and it has to do with getting my chemistry kind of back, getting my chemistry back. Whether if I'm shooting up heroin, which I never have, or it's never been around. I would have though, or if I'm my food stuff, the love, if I could just get her to whatever it is that I'm doing, the outside of myself, trying to make myself feel better. Also, you could call it addiction, or if for some reason that's off-putting to you, you can call it adjusting your chemistry with an external thing so that you're not actually working on your natural serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, whatever's natural, right? That's where it starts. Getting my own chemistry calm down. So, right, through mindfulness practice, recovery, whatever it takes. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. And then, or simultaneously, take a breath into where is the pain in my body and do some kind of somatic work to get down into the trauma, because that's where the gold is. You can call it trauma or the wound or the story that's painful, that's causing these negative messages that I'm carrying. And for me, I have to do it in a place where I'm diving in to some kind of modality that makes me feel deeply. And, it's really hard in a therapy session on Zoom. I mean, it's good. It's a good start, but I really need to be in a community of folks who are diving deep. There's not a lot of places to find it. If you want to know, reach out to us. That's what we're up to around here. And it's pretty selfish. I do it because I need the work, right? And it's a community-based thing where no therapist has the big, great idea. We're just doing the work together. And then the third thing to me is what we've talked about here. And it's to be in a space where there's loving people that can let me sort out what I want in the world and what I see and the inspirations that I have that got shut down when my dad was doing this. I don't know if you're on YouTube, but he used to do this with me. It's like when I was talking about my creative ideas, you just calm down, mister. I love my dad. It's like, but nobody ever empowered him in his creativity or his emotional expression. And he was like trying to take care of me, just how are you going to make money at that? Right. So I've got all these messages, and if I've got my chemistry back, I've healed some of my trauma, which is an onion. I'm going to keep peeling, and I'm never going to get healed. It's a process. Then I can start seeing the vision of what's authentic for me. Those are the 3 things for me: recover, heal, launch. All right, who's next?
I think I think about this a lot actually for myself. When I go on my daily walks. So I think, so number 1, I think is do something either every day or, you know, like 3 or 4 times a week, like as your schedule allows, like that is either physically challenging or like mentally challenging. So whether it's like, I always say like a physical pursuit, and that can be something as simple as like, you know, walking around the block whenever it exhausts you, or like playing a sport, or doing something physical with your body that is really challenging, that you dread doing right before you do it. And then you do it and you're like, oh my God, I feel way better. Or a creative challenge. Like for me, I do pottery, and it's been a really, really hard journey. It's taken like years to do. So I think like doing something that you're going to fail at multiple times, but you're not going to give up doing it. And you know that there's some sort of joy that you get out of it. Like find the thing that brings you a little bit of joy, but you're okay with knowing that there's also going to be some failure in there. And then, okay, number 2 is surrounding yourself with people that are not necessarily like below you or above you, but surrounding yourself with people that are willing to challenge you and like challenge your thoughts and beliefs, and people that aren't afraid to say, well, let me play devil's advocate. Like, I know you believe this, but have you thought about it in this way? Or like, have you thought about like seeing it in this direction? That really like make you question yourself. I think these are all like humbling exercises, everything that's going to bring more humility into your life. And then I don't really know what the third one is. Learn how to cook for yourself. Learn how to make yourself like a nutritious, delicious meal that you feel proud about putting into your body, that you feel good after you eat it, and you can feel good while you're doing it. Like just learn how to put the right things into your body.
Nice.
That's my 3.
You just messed me up with that one.
Yeah.
I love all of those. For me, I feel the most important one for me personally has been to tell the truth about my present moment situation. I was a fake it till you make it guy for a long time, and a just you know, visualize it and it'll come. You know, I've made many of a law of attraction vision board, and definitely believe that helps tune you in the direction. But it has to be paired with some real down and dirty honesty about where I'm actually at, because the opportunity may be for me to grow rather than just get everything I want right now. You know, life isn't always a lottery ticket win, although sometimes it can be, and I'm totally open to it. I'll take those winning numbers. You know, so number 1 is to be brutally honest about where you're at and where you want to go. But number 2 is to be growth minded and growth oriented. And, you know, what that looks like is, you know, I work with a lot of coaches, and no matter if you're a beginner coach or you've been coaching C-suite executives, you know, for the last 20 years, there's always someone who is where you were 3 years ago. And there's always someone who is ready to receive your story, and your story will be the most valuable story that they can receive. And you can attract those people by being honest about where you are. Don't try to make your story Tony Robbins' story. Instead, make your story, and be honest about the growth track and progress that you're on. Hey, I was struggling with this. I tried this, it didn't work. And then I tried this and it did work. You know, if you're interested in learning more about my experience, or you're looking for a support structure, I'd love to share my story with you. I became a much better coach when I stopped trying to be other coaches. Mm-hmm. And a big part of that was being honest about where I was in my own journey and path, and communicating where I was. And that became the magnet and tractor beam that called in the people that were ready for the type of help that I could offer. And then I guess number 3 is, be honest. So number 1 is be honest about where you are and where you want to go. Number 2 is be growth minded and oriented. And yeah, then I guess number 3 is feel all the feelings that come up. Feel all. Life will slap you in the nervous system, and it will show you what I call energetic blockages that are preventing you from grasping the next level of the maze. And if you will just go on that roller coaster ride and ride the bull of it, those emotional channels will open up. Life will give you the exact experience designed to poke you in the stomach in that exact place that you need to feel something that you were refusing to feel. And if you will just take life as an emotional catalyst for what you should be feeling in each moment, that has been the most effective way for me to grasp what the next thing I should do or be. And then I'll add a bonus 4th one because I just remembered what it was. Bring anything to completion. I see so many entrepreneurs that come to me and they've never actually completed anything. They have just a whole string of open-ended projects that have never gone to completion. And so there's so much value in training your brain and your nervous system into what completion looks like. And so that could be saying, you know what, I'm going to go for a 2-mile run today. And after 2 miles, I'm going to be complete. Or I'm going to cook myself a meal based on a recipe. I'm going to follow the directions and then I'm going to eat it. And then that's going to be a level of completion. For me, I had to train myself into what completion looked like and felt like, because otherwise I just started things and never finished anything. And so bringing something to completion and understanding the muscle memory of what that feels like has been a really valuable skill for me to learn.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Nice.
That was great. That last section was all about, I wanted to say earlier when you're talking about procrastination, I had a sponsor who wouldn't let me say that word. He said, there's no such thing. It's fear. And the lack of completion is not a laziness. It's fear. Right?
Yes.
And then you can do something with it. There's something related to my trauma that's in the way of me. And if I'm committed to it, I'm forced into feeling whatever that is and move through it. I like it. Okay. Yeah. So
that's right.
If I have this right, Camille, it's get your body moving, put yourself in places you can be challenged, and feed yourself well. I like it. And I was saying recover, heal, launch. And Jon Ray says, tell the truth. Be growth oriented, feel your feelings, and complete some shit. Finally, will you complete that thing? So I think it's all great stuff, man. I don't know if the 3 of us are putting any of this into action, but we've got some great ideas. Actually, I happen to know we all are doing pretty good with it and committed to helping other people do it too, and learning how to do it, to be a community of folks that are supporting each other in all of this. Let's close with something fun. One simple thing that gives you joy. Hot tubs. Next.
Mine it's called a mimosa tree and it's blooming right now. It only blooms for 2 weeks, once a year, and it's blooming now.
Thank you.
Mine is reading rap song lyrics as if they were poetry without the music.
Yes.
It's something that I have done for a long time is I'm like, let me just read what these lyrics actually are. And sometimes they're tragic and beautiful, and sometimes they are hilarious.
Okay, we're going to do that together. All right. I recommend that I do that with you very soon. Okay, you guys, what a blast. Thank you. Jon Ray, why don't you let folks know how to reach you, what you're up to in the world, and how to reach you?
Yeah, I'd love to connect with any entrepreneur, business owner, consultant, or coach that's looking for a heart-centered strategy to attract more clients, more of the right customers through heart-centered messaging and digital marketing. So you can find me at awaken-entrepreneur.com. And reach out. I'll give you some free value. We can jump on a phone call and I can tell you if I think I'd be a good fit for you. But regardless, I promise to make the phone call worthwhile for you.
Yeah. Awaken-entrepreneur.com. You say that so fast. I want to make sure people get it. Also, you can reach out to us and we'll hook you up with Jon Ray. Camille, let folks know how to what we're up to and how to reach us. Will you please?
Yeah, you can find all of our next upcoming events and workshops are going to be on deepwatersrecovery.com. You can also reach out to us. Dr. Bob does individual, couples, family therapy and group sessions, any of those things. And you can email at admin, ADMIN, at deepwatersrecovery.com.
Yep. The big thing on the screen is the Deep Waters Intensive. That's for men and women. Very powerful. You'll get fed well. Like Camille is there. You will be fed well. I promise you. And there will be moments that you will hate, and then there will be moments that you will absolutely feel like you're on a cloud. Mm-hmm. Everybody comes out of these things saying, "This is the most powerful thing I've ever done in my life." So I'm grateful to be part of this, and you're all invited. We're also training facilitators at the Experiential Facilitator Training. We got a lot going on here, and we are welcoming you. So, all right, enough for today. Thanks, Jon Ray and Camille, for your good recovery and also your commitment to healing the world, yourselves and the world. It's good to be on a team with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for everybody listening. You're in the deep waters now.